Looking for help making a decision or solving a problem? Tarot might give you some answers. We'll be talking about that. Plus, we'll have our tarot card reading for the week to come coming right up. Hello, friends. Brian Noe with you from Cards of Light. Thank you for joining me once again this week for our tarot card reading for the week to come. We're also going to be talking about using tarot to help us make decisions and solve problems kind of in our everyday lives here. First of all, if you are new here, welcome. Please do subscribe to the channel when you get a chance. And if everybody could give this video a thumbs up as we go along, I would appreciate that. It'll help out a lot. Okay, tarot for decision making. So what these cards can do for us and the practice of using these cards can do for us that I think is really unique to them and really helpful is that they help us get in touch with our inner knowing and our inner wisdom and our intuition. These are things that we spend a lot of time getting out of touch with in life. We're conditioned to not listen to that still small voice within us and to not access the vast stores of information that are batting around our mind here. So tarot helps us get in touch with things that our kind of rational, linear minds would likely miss. It can also put us in touch with a wellspring of creativity and also help us get in touch with what we really desire and with how we really feel about things in a way that that maybe some other approaches to decision making don't do quite as well. There's certainly nothing wrong with making lists, pros and cons, and all of those sorts of approaches to making decisions. And I think we should do that. I think we should do kind of our due diligence on the left hemisphere brain type of activities that we're all used to. But I think it's equally important to get in touch with that inner sense of who we are and what our lives are about and all of that. So how do we approach this? I think it's useful for starters to just get accustomed to using the cards. And so if we've already got a kind of drawing a card a day habit, spending a little bit of time with these cards every day, that is good. Also, it's good to just routinely kind of pick up the cards when we're facing decisions or when we are trying to solve problems or trying to find an approach to something that's going on. Even as someone who's been using these cards a lot over the past few years and it does use them routinely. Sometimes it has not occurred to me when I'm facing a decision to get out the cards and see what kind of information they might give me. And so it's good to just make that a part of the routine. And then we're more likely to be able to access them when we really need them, when it's something really significant. In using the cards to make decisions or to solve problems, I think it is most useful to use open-ended questions rather than kind of yes or no sorts of questions. So rather than asking, should I do this certain thing or not, we might ask, what do I need to know as I'm making this decision? If it is a yes or no or an option one, option two type of decision, we might pull a card for each of those options and say, what will I need to know if I say no to this? What do I need to consider in saying yes to this? And that might shed a little more light sometimes and get us in touch with that creative aspect of ourselves and with our intuition than just simple kind of flip of a coin, yes or no type of approach. So when we have questions that require that sort of answer, I would say, option one, option two is probably the best way to approach those. I think that is also more empowering than just, well, let the cards decide. Well, I want to know what the information the cards can give me. I don't want them to make decisions for me. Uh, 3 card spreads are especially useful when we're trying to make decisions for a couple of reasons. It gives us a lot of information, but it doesn't take a lot of time. So let's say that you've got to make a decision in the next hour. You might spend 5 minutes doing a 3 card spread, whereas if you tried to lay out a Celtic cross or something like that, it would take you considerably longer. I've got a lot of examples of 3 card spreads on this channel. If you look for the 3 Card Thursday playlist, going back several years, there'll be lots of examples there to take a look at. The traditional 3 card spread is past, present, future, but I like to usually think of it in terms of opening influences or maybe waning influences on the situation, kind of what the energy at the moment is, and then what we might see emerging in terms of the energies coming down in the fairly close future. So those can be especially useful. You can also use the cards for questions of timing. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. Some people use the numbers of the cards that are related to them to kind of get an idea of when certain things may be coming on the scene. There are also astrological correspondences to the cards, and you can make correspondences to moon phases and that sort of thing to kind of get a grip on things. With all of that, though, with all of these approaches, I think that it is less about predicting things than it is getting a gauge on the way that energy is ebbing and flowing, and the types of energies that we might see being brought to bear on a particular situation. So questions that are like, will so-and-so come back? The cards can be helpful in coming up with information like that. And skilled readers certainly can make predictions with the cards, but I think that it is so much more empowering and so much more useful to help us get in touch with the bigger picture of things and what obstacles we might be facing to getting the outcomes we want, as opposed to just, is this outcome going to happen or not? So particularly when we're making decisions, we're trying to bring that power into our lives anyway and have some agency over our lives. And so we need to approach the questions that we ask in that way when we're using the cards for this sort of process. I would generally recommend starting with smaller spreads, either options, a card for each option, or 3 card spreads are always good. If we have a really major decision that we want to get a lot of information for, then a Celtic cross can be really helpful there. And there are other large card spreads, but that's the one that I'm most familiar with. I've got an earlier video about that I'll link in the description box and kind of give you information about the Celtic cross. And sometimes that's a way to get a really global look into, all of the factors that are surrounding a particular decision or a particular path forward. Also, if you would like, rather than reading that sort of thing for yourself, I do offer Celtic Cross. I do offer 3 card readings. If you're going to make a decision and you want to kind of see what the cards can tell you, feel free to visit that website at atarotjourney.com. And it can be something as simple as you asking a question, me pulling a few cards and sending you an email in response. And that's pretty simple and not very expensive. So check it out. If you, of course, want the fuller fuller experience of a large card spread, I do offer those as well. Summing up, I would highly recommend these cards as a way to help us make decisions, to help us get in touch with our intuition, to help us get in touch with our inner wisdom and our creativity uh, as we approach big decisions in our lives, but also kind of the mundane everyday decisions that can be really helpful. I would love to hear what you think. If you would like to leave comments here with the video, you can, or visit that weblog at atarotjourney.com and get in touch with me that way. Let's go to the table now for our tarot card reading for the week to come. Okay, we're going to do a little 3-card reading this week using the Thoth Tarot. And our first card is the Sun. Card number 2 is the 10 of Discs. And card number 3 is the 5 of Swords. So 1 major, 2 pip cards this time around. Let's take these one at a time. So over here in this first position, we have the Sun, which is usually an auspicious card. In this spread, we're looking at it as kind of opening influences, waning influences. And I got a strong intuitive hit when this came up that it is about not necessarily the bright, sunny parts of this card, the bright, sunny aspects of it, but more the shadow side. So generally, we think of the Sun as bright, warm, riches, glory, that sort of thing. But it can also sometimes denote sort of a sense of arrogance or shamelessness, where everything is out there in the open in the sun, but it's really ugly stuff. And it strikes me that maybe that is sort of the opening influences and waning influences that we're looking at this week. If we look around our world and our society, we do see an awful lot of arrogance, awful lot of just horrific, shameless activity going on. And I got a sense that that's what this card represents in this spread. We get here to the middle and we have the 10 of Discs. Discs, the suit of the earth, the suit of what we experience as material reality. And again, this is generally an auspicious card having to do with the intergenerational wealth and prosperity and legacy and that sort of thing. And I sometimes take it to mean, hey, let's relax. Our legacy is secured. But it can also sometimes indicate sort of a dull mind, uh, indifference to things, kind of a laissez-faire attitude about things. So I would think that coming in this middle position here is sort of the predominant energy for the week. We need to realize that we are the ones who determine uh, which way that energy shows up. Is it going to be fullness and prosperity and the comfort of family and all of that? Or is it going to be, kind of resting on our laurels and zoning out and being, sort of dull? We need to be thinking about our legacy this week. We need to be thinking about 10 years from now, how we will want to look back on these times. 20 years from now, how we will want people to be thinking of us, and especially those of us that are getting a little more advanced in age. There's never more important time to be thinking about the sort of world that we want to leave when we leave the bodies. So that's the way I would see that particular card this week. And then we've got this very scary 5 of Swords over here. You see the inverted pentagram. If you look closely at this card in the Thoth deck, you can see swastikas kind of flying around in the background. It has been said that this card was a way of hexing the Nazis, that was part of the intent of this design that Lady Harris created in this Thoth deck. It is about defeat. It is about just horrible things: failure, poverty, dishonor. Um, we can also, I think, take it as the temptation to win by dishonorable means, sort of winning ugly. And a lot of times when I see this card, that is what comes to my mind is sort of, yeah, we're going to win, but at what cost to our spirit? So again, in line with what we saw with these earlier cards, I just think we want to be mindful of that this week. And whatever we're doing as we proceed throughout this week, we want to do it in a way that ultimately we can live with our conscience, we can be proud, and we can be grateful to have had the grace to act in the way that we did. Overall, though, an interesting spread. Again, this is a good example of how intuition is important, because these first two cards, you could say, oh, very auspicious cards, happy things. And I sort of did not necessarily see those this way. I think the overall message is let's let's take a look deep inside of our hearts. Let's take a long look in the mirror, and whatever we are doing, let's try to do it in a way that is honorable, that reflects the truth, and that reflects our best selves and our highest values. So that's the way I would see these three. Thanks for joining me again this week. If you've got any comments, please leave them here with the video, or you can pop on out to the weblog at atarotjourney.com and find my contact information there if you'd like to get in touch personally. Don't forget, I do offer tarot readings. You can find information about that on the website as well. We will be back soon with more, and in the meantime, as always, I wish you peace. Take care of yourself.